the biggest factor that we've touched upon is the fact that there's no real sense of Jewish pride. If you meet another Jew, the first thing you say, wow, this is another Jew. We don't have that feeling of pride for other Jews. We actually use our critical and our judgmental thinking to say, well, what kind of Jew are you? And now the divisions start to occur because we start to judge them. So I think one of the bigger things that we need to accomplish is the fact that we should take pride in the fact that there are other types of Jews. Maybe they don't dress or practice the same way as you, but there's a lack of a national pride for being Jewish. And that's never discussed or taught. And I think that it's very important to have this national pride. Not so much to walk around and being, I'm a chosen person, therefore I'm special, but to really resonate and recognize that there are other Jews out there. They are very special people too. They all came back from Abraham. And so we have a responsibility for the other person. Almost like if you meet a distant cousin, you get excited because, hey, I didn't know I had this cousin. As opposed to looking at this cousin and say, who are you? Why should I even talk to you? I don't even accept you because of the way you look or the way you dress or the way you speak. So it's just not in our lexicon to have this idea of Jewish pride in a positive, constructive way. Because if it was an overlying principle that we all had, we would start to stop the conversation with the criticisms and the negativity and the judgment and the uber judgmentalism that occurs. But we don't have that. It's just not in our lexicon. It's not even in our consciousness anymore. So we need to have that overriding principle, that we should love every Jew as we should love every Jew as we love ourselves. And it's lost. I think that's one of the biggest challenges we have. Like every company has a mission statement. Every organization has a mission statement. As Jews, we've lost our mission statement in terms of the idea of Jewish unity and of having Jewish pride and just, hey, you're Jewish, great, love to meet you.
Dr. Laitman, is Jewish pride what's needed? What else? Can we do it?
Yeah, but where will it come from? Because again, we come from a collection of representatives from all the nations of the world. There is no connection between us the way there is in other nations. In every nation, there is a foundational family they came from, whether it's Norwegian or Swedish or French or whatever. It comes from a certain kind of genealogy that gave birth to descendants that eventually became that nation. That's how it developed in history. We didn't develop like that. We didn't come from a single mother and father biologically. We came from different mothers and fathers to begin with, and then we united, gathered together despite our differences. That's what Abraham did. He brought all those people together, and therefore we're not a nation the way other nations are to begin with. And that's why we don't have that instinctive attraction to each other. If I feel good living among other people somewhere in the world, I'll do it. As long as I don't feel anti-Semitism there, as long as I don't have any threat there. That's our nature. And so that's one thing. The second thing is that if we want to unite, we have to make conscious efforts, because it's like different nations from different origins want to come together. It's like me and another family. And again, I'm talking about no external threat. If there's no external pressure, I don't have any instinctive inclination to be together with another Jew. No, he and I, it's not for no reason they say that every Jew builds two synagogues. One that he goes into and another one that he never goes into. It's not just a joke. It represents our nature. It's not a joke. So there is a problem that the nations of the world do have a deep-seated demand towards us. They have some sense that we're robbing them of the better future of humanity, and that if something happens in reality, it happens because of the Jews. Why? Because if the Jews unite, if we were to unite with each other, the world would be great. The world would be paradise. That's what the Torah says, and it's right. And it has to be that way, because if we are a collection that represents all the nations of the world, when we unite, it necessitates all the nations of the world to unite, and that brings peace to the whole world, and it brings peace and love for the whole world. So we are actually guilty in that there are conflicts and troubles and problems in the world. If there's any kind of conflict among human beings or nations or countries, then Jews have a part in that. That is true. Jews are to blame. And look, what the nations have been saying for thousands of years already, and it's also written in the Torah that it all depends on the people of Israel. So what can we do? We have to look at these roots and face them. And so until we actually work on our unity, we will never be better off, and the world will get worse, and its attitude towards us will get worse, and blows will push us, to necessitate us to come together. But that will be in horrible ways, just like putting us in a ghetto and in horrible situations. And so the world is also in the same dynamic. But if the world will give us the freedom to just separate from each other, to scatter, to keep scattering, then the world too will crumble. And that's why there's this instinctive reaction of the world. It's a law of nature. We need to understand we live in the whole of nature, in a system that has laws, and this is embedded into the laws of nature. The world is pressuring us to bring us to come together, to drive us to come together, and when we do that, then we bring calmness to the world, and that's the balance we have to maintain. And today we're in a very, very delicate, sensitive state, because human ego is peaking, and we're facing a horrible, interdependent, multi-layered crisis, economically, socially, politically, but it can all come to balance if the people of Israel will become unified and connected and close to each other. If we do that, all layers of our reality will come into balance, still vegetative, animate, and human. We will bring balance and healing and peace to the whole system. And if we don't do it, I don't even want to talk about how bad things can be. The end of the introduction to the book of Zohar talks about the horrible states that may occur. So there's nothing coincidental here, and we don't need to add all kinds of philosophies to this. We're talking about laws of nature that we're facing. We have to understand them as laws, just like any other laws of nature, and then see how to use them in the right way, how to respond to them correctly. Please.
I definitely, just from listening to reading your books and listening to your ideas, how would you say that most Jews are absolutely ignorant of the fact that our collective beginnings began with the groups of many different people that Abraham brought together? That's nowhere discussed anywhere, and I think that's a pivotal issue that would help people to understand that, hey, there's no such thing as one type of a Jew or a true blood type of a Jew. And that would actually help people, at least in the educative function of understanding that we are actually always been connected.
Ken?
Yes.